Hello and welcome to our knitting space. If you are a new listener, hi, welcome, come on in, join the conversation. If you're a returning listener, hi, welcome back, and we're so glad you guys were able to join us today. Today we're hoping to cover, and again it's always a hope, what's in our cup, cool threads, some woolly workings, yarn on the go, so little time, fiber flubs, events, and a review. So why don't we start the conversation off with Diana. What are you drinking?
Today I have stolen from your stash of tea some white chocolate mocha by Stash.
It's a very good tea.
It is. I'm
Tastes like white chocolate mocha.
In fact, it does.
It's quite good. I am having my classic go-to Twinings Goodnight blend. It's got chamomile and fennel in it, and it is a very enjoyable cup of tea. Because some days I don't want a caffeinated beverage. I know, kind of blasphemous coming from my mouth, but there it is. And that's what I was in the mood for today. I also had already had some orange warmth by Tetley tea earlier today, so not sure how much caffeine I really need in a day.
Lots.
Lots? All of it?
All of it.
All of it?
Always all of it.
Always all of it? Sure.
Well,
works for me.
Caffeine in proportion to the amount of things you have to accomplish that day.
More laundry?
Probably don't need that much caffeine.
So much laundry this weekend. It's ridiculous. Alright. Well, the weather in our wonderful city of Winnipeg is doing what it does every spring and making up its mind that morning what it would like to be. Like most people trying to get dressed in the morning when they don't have a wardrobe that they need to specifically stick to. You get the I don't know what I want to wear syndrome. In this case, the weather's going I don't know what I want to be syndrome. So we've got some cool evenings, some warm days, some cool days. So we're averaging above 10 degrees almost all the time consistently, which is really nice. So I have been wearing my coffee shop shawl out and about, mostly because then I can wear a nice lightweight sweater. And I can wear the sweater all day, but when it gets a little bit cooler, I can put the shawl on and still maintain some heat, so that way I'm not super layered when I'm out and about. Because I'm out and about! Yay!
I have been having the issue that I've been actually having to get up really early this past week and going and doing things.
Like adult stuff?
Yeah, like adult stuff. like getting cavities filled.
It's an adult thing you gotta do. Mind you, gotta do it as a kid, but your mom makes you do it then, so.
I actually didn't have any cavities until I was an adult.
No?
Yeah.
I don't have any since I was an adult.
Anyway, so since I've been out in the morning and it's been cooler, I have been wearing my Lindsay slouch and my rainbow side shawl several times.
Why not?
Because it can't freaking make up its mind, and both those things, when I get too warm, fit nicely in my purse.
Yeah, the coffee shop shawl doesn't fit so nicely in my backpack. It's kind of fluffy. But I'm still at a weight restriction as to how much I can lift, so I'm okay with putting it in my backpack, because it's generally not a super full bag right now. Unlike my normal carting purposes, which is as many heavy objects as physically possible, and I have to cart all the things.
Not one, but two kitchen sinks?
You know, if I could swing a third one, I would. We can just jump straight to woolly workings. Have you been working on a lot of projects, or has it just been me this week?
I have 4 things.
Oh my goodness, we almost have the same number of things.
What?
What?
I suspect you have more things than me, though.
I suspect... I've done more granny squares than you, is what I suspect. I have been continuing my progress with my 365 days of granny squares. I am a square a day. I have no idea what number I'm on right now. I generally don't even look at the numbers anymore. I get up in the morning, I make a square, I start my day. That is just generally how I've started living life. I don't even start doing emails or work till I'm done my square right now. So that for sure has been on my list and will be on my project list till the 31st of December. 1st of January come 2018, it'll feel really nice not to have to do that. Having said that, I will probably get myself signed up to do something else kind of weird and wacky that'll take a whole year. It's given me some great crocheting skills. Like, I didn't know how to crochet on the 1st of January. I couldn't crochet a square to save my soul. And I'm now at the point now where I'm quite comfortable with crochet patterns, reading them, watching video tutorials, looking at the materials, and deciphering what it is that I have to do to make things. Skill set is growing quite rapidly, so I'm super happy with the progress I'm making, which was the whole point of the challenge for me, was to teach myself to crochet and become comfortable crocheting to the point where I could do it comfortably and competently in my mind.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I have made the sad but responsible realization that I'm not going to get to 365 at this point, so it's become as many as I can do in the remaining days.
Well, why not? You can still learn a lot of skills from it. You don't have to worry terribly.
Yeah, I mean, I figure 300 squares is still a respectable number of squares. As such, I have not done any squares this week.
Well, that's helping out your goals, isn't it?
It really is. However, I started a thing, like properly started a thing.
Properly started a thing.
I properly started my wedding shawl.
Woohoo!
I'm on row 6. It is the size of my thumbnail.
Okay, well, it started. That's the important part.
Yeah.
And you've got a little over a year to get it done. I might recommend that we're at the blocking stage by July of next year.
Yeah.
So, not having to do that last minute, please.
Yep.
Jocelyn begs you not to have to try to figure out how to do that last minute to help you out with stuff. Don't be that mean. This is a huge swath of material. I need help. I have been continuing the process on my Boneyard Shawl by Stephen West. Again, I am doing it in that, I know it says teal on the colorway in the Bernay Premium, but I think we've come to the decision that it's a nice kind of cobalt blue color instead. I am enjoying my progress. It is getting quite slow as the rows are getting quite long, but that's okay. That's what happens with a shawl. It always starts out nice and quick, and by the time you're done, your bind off takes,
a million years.
the entire lifetime of a human being.
Pretty much.
Or a geological age. One of the two. I don't know which. Have you done any work on any other projects this week?
I have also worked on my bell rows.
Woohoo! Did we get another bell done?
I did. I think I actually got 2 bells done this week.
Oh my goodness. You're doing it in that, something rose from...
The yarn company is Sheep en Soie.
Oh my.
And the colorway is Remembering Rose.
That's it. It was something rose. It's a wonderful kind of...
It's a rosy pink color.
It's a rosy pink color. It's like a country rose pink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I really like the colorway. I really love the yarn.
Wool silk blend, single ply.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So pretty.
It may have flubbed a little bit,
Oh dear.
but I'll talk about that later.
That's totally fair. That's from the Strichmick.
The Strickmick.
I can't speak German.
Neither can
I.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's Martina Bame's knitting yarn club thing.
Ooh. No update as to when your next one's going to arrive?
It shipped today.
In which case, might I recommend working a lot on your shawl this week?
I know.
I have been making slow and steady progress. I did another repeat of my Stormy Sky shawl by Life is Cozy, and it is the one that I'm making out of the Ancient Art Yarns Really Seriously Annoyed Grapes. Again, blessing the fact that I put in lifelines just before I do the second lace section for that pattern. Not because it's complicated, but I seem to be really skilled at dropping those stitches. So the garter stitch, smooth as butter. The drop stitches, yeah, no problem. Second garter stitch section, easy. Yep, no, great. That last little lace bit section, I don't know. But it's at the last of the repeats, so I've almost got another one fully finished and on good. So I will be working on that for a while, because it's a fingering weight shawl. It is my first fingering weight shawl, if I think about it, because I usually work in worsted weight yarns, so I have no idea how long it's going to take me, but I'm really enjoying how that colorway is working out pattern-wise. It's so pretty. I should take and post some progress photos in the next week or two here on my Ravelry page. If I remember, being an audio podcast has made me really good at updating my project portfolios because I know you link to them.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be this good on my own. There would be a lot of blank spots otherwise.
Yeah, I've filled in a lot of my blank spots.
Oh, goodness. Have you been working on anything else?
Well, I'm currently working on my sock, and it's been traveling around with me, which I'll talk more about later. But always a sock. I'm on the last cuff of the last sock in the pair.
Oh, you're going to have to start a new pair of socks.
I am.
And that one was with the wool. I forget how to pronounce the name of that yarn as well.
Something Dutch or German as well. Something like woolen socken, 4-ply in forest color.
Mm-hmm.
It's sock yarn. It's self-striping brown sock yarn.
It looks good to me.
It Instagrams really nicely with coffee.
Oh my goodness, complete segue. I was watching the Grocery Girls YouTube channel. If you're a Canadian knitter, you should watch the Grocery Girls. They will help you spend your money really effectively, and they're also wonderful and from Alberta. They're out of Edmonton.
Oh, nice.
They're just a wonderful pair of sisters, I believe. Yes. Anyway, I was watching them, and they were showing off this new self-striping yarn that they picked up. It's watermelon colored.
Oh.
It's so cheerful and summery. I'm just like, yeah, okay, socks.
Yep.
I've successfully avoided making socks. I feel like I need to stop doing that to myself and get some socks underway because I keep seeing such pretty self-striping sock yarn and I go, God, I need socks in that color. They'd be so bright and cheerful and violent and loud printed and I need to own them. And then I don't actually know how to knit socks. Which seems weird considering I'm working on ginormous projects, but I don't know how to knit socks. But there you go. I suppose I shouldn't say don't know how to knit. I've just never actually knitted a pair of socks.
It's like how I don't know how to knit a sweater. I probably know all the individual bits of how to knit a sweater.
Yeah,
Never made a sweater.
That makes sense. I was looking at some sweater design books. Oh, I can't wait.
I'm super pumped.
Well, it's also because I gotta do so much math because of my ginormous wingspan. And not insignificant shaping that will have to occur between bust and rib cage. So that's fine. It's the same with my sewing patterns. I do the same amount of work. Is there anything else you've been working on, or are we all down to me now?
I have been working on the textured triangle shawl.
We both have been working on our textured triangle shawl.
Mine flubbed a little bit, so I will talk about that in fiber flubs.
I am super excited. I'm at the point now where a row takes a while. It's no longer as fast as when there was only 70 stitches on the on the needle, and you were like, oh hey, I could totally bash out like 2 or 3 rows. That's the current travel purse project, though I suspect that's going to stop this week, as it is done in a super bulky yarn in my case, because I'm doing it with the Soft Essentials from Red Heart in a white. The bulky factor is starting to get a little... Okay, if I'm honest, I can't have my coffee shop shawl and my knit-along shawl in my backpack. I don't have a big backpack. I just got like a little 5-liter day hiking backpack. But by the time I've put my keys, my wallet, my lip gloss, my bottle of water, or my ginger ale, whatever I'm carrying around for the day, and my other things that I need to carry on me, I don't have enough space to put both of them in the backpack, which tells you just how ginormous and fluffy both of these shawls are, that I have the option of one or the other. So, I really gotta pick up sock knitting so I can just always have an on-the-go project, don't I?
Socks are excellent on-the-go projects.
Oh, the yarn is so small.
There is that.
I might end up just start carting the boneyard around with me, even though a row takes forever and a day, whatever, who cares? The only thing I'm doing is my finished items, which again, I've finished yet another dishcloth. I still haven't taken any photos. I keep saying every week, I will do that. Guess what? This week, I will take some photos and get them posted on Ravelry. That's nothing fancy. It's a standard dishcloth. It's a free pattern you can find on Ravelry. You can find them on blog posts. Getting a dishcloth pattern is it's a pretty standard thing, but I don't know. It's great nighttime knitting for me. I can lie down in bed, listen to whatever podcast I'm working my way through, depending on the day of the week. Like tonight it'll be Awesome Etiquette, because Awesome Etiquette comes out today. A book, if I'm listening to an audiobook, and just relax for a half hour or so before I go to sleep, just by my night light on my table, and then all I have to do is turn that off and set my knitting down and go to sleep. So, yeah. The other thing that I'm going to start, that I didn't get a chance to start this weekend because of weekend shenanigans, is the Starting Point Mystery Knit Along by Jody... Oh, I cannot pronounce her last name.
Oh, it's like Hohi Locatelli?
Yes, that's as close as I've gotten for that one.
Okay.
I love her work. And by love, I mean I was looking through my items on my queue list and realized, short of her kids line, I pretty much have everything else.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, then no, I'm probably safe to just jump in. So by last minute, I mean I bought the mystery knit along pattern on Friday. It started on the 12th, and I have not had a chance to go to the store yet to buy the color yarn I want to get. I've been too busy. So this week I have to. I've read the first one, which gave you an idea of what to buy for yarn. So I need to go down. I'm going to do it in the spirit of the mystery knit along. So I'm not going to read section 1 until I've bought my yarn. So I need to buy my yarn, knit section 1 by Friday, because on Friday the second clue comes out.
You and your deadlines, I don't know.
They seem to be working really well with me. Apparently I am self-motivated by deadlines, so if I have a deadline, I meet it, because I've been doing really well with the Red Heart Knit Along.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing really well with the 365 challenge, so maybe it's just I enjoy deadlines?
Maybe.
I've gotten bigger into readathons this year, and that really, I did a readathon last week, and it really helped me get out of my reading slump, so... Yes, I consider a book a week a reading slump. So for me, it was a problem, so I needed to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. My brand of crazy is not everyone's brand of crazy. It's my brand of crazy. And I'm happy with it.
You can be over there with your crazy tea.
Yes, I will sit here and enjoy my tea, and that is all that matters. You like me anyway.
So mature.
Oh, yeah. Most adult you'll ever meet. Alright, my dear, for yarn on the go.
Yarn on the go.
It's your turn to talk. I've been talking a lot.
I don't have anything incredibly exciting. My sock came to some job interviews.
Those
An
are
assortment of job interviews in the last week, so hopefully one of these finally results in an offer.
In a job?
Yeah, well, because I went for my third in-person interview at this one place just this morning. So
I got that Snapchat.
I'd really like to not have to drive over there for half-hour interviews every other week. And they just
Nice.
decide they like me or not.
And then because you had one last week that we celebrated my yay final check-in went healthy, everything's good doctor's appointment, and your interview with afternoon beer and lunch.
Yep.
Which is the other yarn on the go I know for sure we did.
Yeah, that's basically it. I've been taking my sock to interviews because knitting a sock right before an interview is just very nice and calming and centering, and I feel like I interview better when I do that.
My knitting went with me to my final doctor appointment, and it went with me to my first of many dentist appointments.
Poor mouth.
My poor mouth. But I did take my Red Heart knit along shawl. And then after my last check-in appointment, quick health update, I am free, I am clear, everybody is happy, all my tests came back negative, I am considered a healthy human being again.
Woo!
Woohoo! I met up with Diana, and we went for a celebratory lunch at Rudy's. It's one of my favorite pub kind of restaurants in the city.
It barely counts as pub. It's like
I know.
really high-end pub.
It is really, it's a more loungy pub.
I had a salmon quinoa salad. That's not pub food.
Well, I had a BLT made with 12 pieces of bacon.
Okay,
But
that's more pub-like.
I think it's just because you ordered from the salad menu and I ordered from the pub menu of the pub menu. And we did both have beers. So technically... yeah.
Let's go with
But
high-end pub.
we can go lounge.
Okay.
Yeah, lounge or a cocktail bar. We go with cocktail bar. It was super fancy. So that was a really enjoyable lunch, and it was a really good way to sort of celebrate your getting through yet another interview.
Mm-hmm.
And my no longer need to go to the doctor every other week to have them tell me what I can and cannot do. I have my final marching orders, and that's it. So, woohoo!
Yay!
So happy. But that's all of my yarn on the going, other than coming to your place like a bazillion times last week.
I think you half lived at my house.
Oh, last week, yeah, because we had a lot of really tight schedules to meet up and deadlines to do, so I'm sure Chris is going to enjoy not seeing me this week. So, you can feel like his space is his own. Oh, no way, you have a house guest. Never mind. I was prepping him for a house guest.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's how that works, right? To so little time. Because as far as, yeah, you said you had no spinning this week.
Nope, no spinning. Oh, no, there's 2 different birds. Sorry, I'll shut up about the birds. Cats and birds and I just...
They're
Squirrel!
fascinating. Fascinating at the start of the spring-summer season. I know. One of the local fabric shops in the city is closing. They're called Mitchell's, and they've been around for 70 plus years, I think. So they've been obviously heavily discounted because their last week's this week coming up here. So I decided with me and my sister, we didn't want to go down on the last Saturday, but we definitely wanted to go down to see if we could find some stuff. Make tunics and tops for the little one, make some costume bits and pieces because we both like wearing costumes and stuff, and picking up fabrics that we can use for different projects around the house. Now I sew, my sister does sew, she doesn't sew quite as much as I do, but she does. So we went down and we went a little crazy. Primarily my sister had come with me because she wanted to look at stuff for her kid and for her and stuff, and I wanted to find extras and bits and bobs for some projects I'm currently working on. We walked out with a lot of fabric. If you think about that, we were paying 99 cents or less a yard for most of the stuff we bought, and we bought almost $200 worth of fabric.
That's a lot of fabric.
So my Saturday evening, Sunday was washing copious amounts of fabric and folding copious amounts of fabric. Not because we would... You don't necessarily have to wash your fabric till just before you use it. I always recommend washing it before you use it, so that way if there's any issues, you spot it right away before you start working with the fabric itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the environmental allergies and the chemical allergies that run in my family, I have a tendency to wash the fabric as soon as it comes home, so that we don't have any of those lingering products around. And that can literally be somebody else who's touched the bolt of fabric who uses a lotion that could irritate my mom's skin. We could pick it up 2 weeks later and it would still be on the fabric. So everything went through the wash, everything went through the dryer, and my arms felt like jelly once I was done folding all of that fabric, which was a lot of fabric. Though I did find, which was a wonderful new to me find, a old school, I'd say 1 or 2 generations after they started making singers in the tables for your sewing machine out of the table sewing machine. All it needs is a new drive band and a new faceplate, which I can totally order. And obviously new needles. So I have myself a metal, heavy as all get out. My sister, I can barely pick up my plastic sewing machine, never mind that sewing machine.
Uh-huh.
But I don't need to replace the electrical cord, and I need a new light bulb because it is fancy because it's got the little attachment on it where you've got a little light that you can shine on your work while you're working. So I have myself a fancy old school singer, and I'm so happy. I've wanted one for so long, but I knew it was a lot when they're fully refurbished.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do a drive band. I know how to change needles, and with the electrical cord in good shape, that was the only thing I was really worried about. I can replace faceplates, so the little bits and pieces. It also means that I got it for like a really good price, which was great. I had the option, the other one that they had for sale was literally treadle, so it was man-powered. There was no electrical cord. That's how old school it was. The temptation was there, I won't lie, because that would be freaking cool. I did not need to buy 2 new old sewing machines, old new sewing machines.
New to you.
New to me. So that's my sewing this weekend, was much fabric washing, sorting, folding, and planning.
I imagine you have many plans now.
Oh my god, I have so much fabric going on, it's ridiculous, and I have a lot of fabric in my fabric stash, so it's now reached obscene levels where I'm dealing with this summer, and that stack's getting shrunken to dead. I cannot handle this much just extra floating around my space. I'm not a fan of this much clutter.
It's starting to rival the yarn stash.
It is, and I'm going to be working on the yarn stash this summer, so, because that's also, before I add too much more to it, I need to start getting rid of some of that too, so. I also need to convince my great Aunt Jerry to stop buying me random yarn.
Mm-hmm.
That'll help me a lot. But that is so little time for me. One day, we will have to get you sewing, and it's going to have to be shortly if we're going to get any work on that done this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Your life's just going to get busier and busier, my dear.
Ugh. I'm gonna need that car.
Yeah, and a lot of coffee. It's a good thing I got you fancy coffee, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't tried the fancy coffee.
What? Man.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna make myself some fancy coffee tomorrow.
Gonna make yourself fancy coffee. You don't know what you're missing. Which leaves us with fiber flubs.
I have 3 flubs.
3 flubs.
4 projects and 3 flubs.
You are really nailing that fiber flub part on the head, aren't you?
They're all pretty small flubs.
Okay. Well, I have 1, so it's mostly you.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So I was working on the Belrose and watching American Gods. And so I'm knitting away and knitting away and knitting away, and something doesn't feel right. I've dropped a stitch.
Oh no!
But it was in the garter stitch part, and it
Okay.
only went down 1 row.
So that's not too bad.
Much squeaking and sweating later.
Squeaking.
Squeaking. There was distressed squeaking. I brought that back up, and it was all fine. It's fine. But, man. Yeah, so... Can't watch American Gods and knit garter stitch.
Duly noted. There's many things in life I can't do and watch TV as far as statements go. Fold fabric. It took twice as long as it needed to because I was busy watching old TV. And I mean, the 1990s, The Adventures of Sinbad, old TV.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, which should not catch my attention other than pure nostalgia giggling at all of the bad. All of the bad.
Such bad.
Such bad. Such bad. But that's fine. My one and only flub had to do with the Red Heart Knit Along. Because this shouldn't shock anybody.
Counting to 2 is hard?
Counting to 2 is one of the most difficult things I do in my life, apparently. So, in section 2, I figured out that when I had redone section 1, I had forgotten a yarn over increase on one of my rows. That's fixable. Means my count number on my rows are a little off. Not too big of a deal. So long as I've got the right divisibility going on when I move from section to section, it lines up fine. I apparently cannot yarn over and purl 2 together either. Because again, counting to 2.
Uh-huh.
So I've completed section 2, I've moved on to section 3, so obviously all was well that ends well. But I figured out that I had misdone my first row in section 2 when I was finishing section 2. So I had to tink back, 12 rows?
Ooh.
Not straight garter stitch, but pretty darn close. And fix it again. Thankfully again. And that super bulky yarn, you just feel like you're gaining millions of miles with every row you knit. So it's doesn't feel nearly as bad as it does when you have to go back on a smaller yarn. The other thing I have is not actually fiber flub, it is a tech failure.
Oh dear.
What is your other fiber flub?
Well, I can talk about my also texture triangle shawl flub.
Sure, why not? We're on the theme of texture triangle flubs.
So I started section 2, and I decided I wanted to make section 2 a different color. So I'm just like, okay, it's section 2. I'll just start the new color. Not really thinking in my head about how it becomes reverse stockinette, and changing a color on a purl row gives you this weird, awkward little color change line.
Mm-hmm.
So what I actually should have done was thought this through a little bit better, and on the last row of section 1, I should have started the new color.
Yeah, so you didn't get that little line. Yeah.
But now I'm 3 rows into section 2, so now I have to rip back section 2 and the last row of section 1 to change the color like I wanted.
You're going to be knitting a lot tonight, hey, since the new clue goes up on Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
So I talked Diana into helping me cast on for a pair of socks. This will be my first pair of socks, which is fine. I've stuck to bigger projects before now anyway. I wanted to learn something new, because, again, I like learning new stuff whenever I can swing it. I decided I have never done a Judy's Magic cast on, so we're going to do that. because of my foot size and the fact that I like longer cuffed socks, I wanted to do toe up socks. I know it's easier to go cuff down to learn. Or at least that's what people tell me. I wanted to do toe up. Because of the vision impairment, I did not want a flap and gusset heel. So I talked to Diana, and she has a wonderfully bashed together vanilla sock pattern toe up with magic cast on. So I got her to walk me through the magic cast on, which again, because I can't really see the yarn, is an interesting process.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to practice just knitting on yarn that small and working with the Judy's Magic Cast On before I got serious about the socks. Which is all well and good. That's great. It's wonderful. It worked out great. I'd figured out a section of it. I tucked it in my bag, in its own project bag. Everything was all tucked away nice and neat. I took it out, took it to Rudy's, pulled it out, got ready to knit on it, and asked Diana some more questions because I had her right there and available. And the knitting needle had broken.
Aww.
Yeah. Fine, fold it up, put it back in my bag, call down to the store that I bought it from they'll totally exchange the knitting needle and the cable for me. That's not a problem. So I just literally need to go down and do that. Okay, that's easy enough to do. I haven't had time to go do said thing. I just feel like when technology fails you, that it feels extra worse. Because you're like, you know you could have accomplished something, but you're being held back from the lack of tool.
Mm-hmm. I have one more minor flub.
Absolutely.
So I started my wedding shawl.
I'm with you.
You sure?
Maybe.
Started my wedding shawl. This is going to be the first circular center out thing that I've ever knit.
So of course you're doing the evening star shawl?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
The first 26 rows are easy.
Like I see the first 26 rows are easy, my brain went, and how many rows are there?
Each chart is like 40 rows, and there's 4 charts.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Um,
The first thing I ever did when I decided to learn how to knit, did I start with small things? Am I doing baby sweaters? No. I'm making a sweater for my very not insignificantly baby-sized frame. So I'm really not a person to judge you on this.
Anyway, so I'm doing this thing, and I figure I can just use the Judy's Magic Cast On, which seems to be working. That
Okay.
part's fine.
Okay.
But I, for some intelligent reason, decided to put the short interchangeable needle cord on it.
Sure.
So trying to do magic loop with the short cord is really hard, so my tension was really weird, and it was being really difficult, and I somehow got a purl stitch in there where I shouldn't have. So after a few rows, I gave up on the nonsense, ripped it all back to the beginning, put the long cord on, which
That might
was
help.
a task in and of itself, because I had to steal the long cord from my Belrose project, because it doesn't need the long cord. I'm just knitting back and forth. It does not need the long cord.
No.
So I had to steal the long cord from a live needle, put the short cord on that, didn't screw anything up.
Okay, good.
So now I have the longer cord,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to start again, and the tension was better, and I didn't get weird purl stitches in there, and it's all good now. I'm on row 6, and everything's going fine.
Which is perfect. If I recall correctly, it was row 7. That's the difficult one. So
7s and 13s.
7s and 13s. So
Well,
I will
row 7
refrain.
on this one is just a plain knit.
Okay.
I don't know what 13 is. 13 might be an increase row.
Okay. I will reserve my awe and wonder till we've done a couple of the complicated rows. And then you will have all of my awe and wonder, because at that point you're going to want it.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I start chart 1, I can
Yes.
accept your awe and wonder.
I will give you all the awe and wonder at that point, because at that point I'm going to be like, oh, that's more than my brain wants to do. Who's this the girl who's doing a mystery knit along with a designer who loves cables? It's a good thing I like cables.
Have fun with that.
Woohoo!
Alright, for events. Currently on the go right now, we are doing the textured triangle shawl knit along. That's with Marley Bird and Red Heart yarns.
Mm-hmm.
That is from May 1st to the 30th, 31st, whatever the end of May is. The last Tuesday in May, I assume.
I don't know how many days are there in May.
I don't know. It goes until the end of May.
There's either 30 or 31, so I'm either right or I'm
31.
wrong.
There's 31 days.
Okay.
Coming up is Stash Dash on May 26th.
Mm-hmm.
The point of that being to finish all your unfinished things, and then you get to count all the meters in it, even if it was already started. And you can go for 1K, 3K, 5K, 10K, and 15K goals.
Oh, 15K. Oh my gosh.
Well, spinning also counts, so I bet that
Ooh,
helps.
that'll help. I need to check the updates for them and see what they updated their rules to this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they have
Because,
any updates on
I'm
that,
a huge spinner.
if they have any updates as to the rule set for this year specifically, I will begin linking to that in the show notes instead of last year's rule set.
That makes complete sense. I've decided to go with a 5K. I don't see that as being unfeasible. Oh, good. 200 plus projects in my 400 plus queue are over 1,000 meters anyway. And a lot of the stuff I'm working on right now is in the upper hundreds for meters. So doing a 5K shouldn't be that big of a deal for me this summer.
I like 3K. It's nice and modest, and I feel like if I can finish 3 or 4 fingering weight shawls, which I may have 3 or 4 fingering weight shawls on the needles right now. If I can finish 3 or 4 shawls, that should get me to 3K, and I feel like that's a completely reasonable thing to do between May and August.
Absolutely. You also generally tend to have a busier summer than I do, since my goal for summer is to avoid the outdoors as much as possible.
And I tend to go out to the lake where not much knitting happens because small humans, and I'm gonna have this 9 to 5 job thing, which is not conducive to knitting.
Sure it is. Knit on your coffee breaks.
That's still only 15 minutes of knitting versus hours.
It helps.
It does.
I believe I've taken to knitting in waiting rooms, which can be anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour and 45, depending on whoever happens to be in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I can do about that. It's a thing. Sneak it in everywhere. It's like reading. Everyone's always like, how do you read so much? I'm like, because I sneak it in everywhere. Waiting for the bus, I have an Audible book playing. On the bus, I have an Audible book playing or a podcast playing, you know. If I'm sitting down waiting for somebody, doesn't matter. If I'm waiting for Mr. B to put his shoes on, if I'm ready to go and I'm in waiting mode, I am reading or knitting. There is some sort of item in my hand and I am either focusing on it and creating something, or I'm reading with the concept of doing a review shortly afterwards. I also generally don't watch a lot of TV unless I'm folding laundry, I'm discovering.
I consume a lot of YouTube and a lot of podcasts, so not much reading happens for me anymore. It's not
Not so
like I'm
much
watching cat
YouTube?
videos on YouTube either. I'm watching like 15 minutes as a tour of a makerspace or a cool science thing.
Is this the part where I point out the calculator unboxing?
Shut up. It was entertaining, okay?
There's nothing wrong with cat videos on YouTube. I feel the need to defend it because there's calculator unboxings on YouTube. I think everyone's got their own sort of guilty pleasure. I love watching people do book reviews on YouTube, makeup stuff on YouTube, like cooking shows on YouTube. Oh, people who do cooking in YouTube, it's like my kryptonite. I can't stop myself from watching like hours of how to cake it. I do not have Yolanda's.
I started following some artists on Twitch.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really love your style. I'm just gonna sit here for your 6-hour stream and watch you with rapt fascination.
Yeah, it's knit while you're doing that, because you can focus on 2 things at once.
True.
So you could do that. That would be an option for you.
I know. I just need to actually, have time to sit down and do that.
I've given up on trying to find the time. I'm just making it work where I can now. Now, I can't sew and read at the same time. I haven't figured out how to master those 2 things at once, but I'm working on it. Sewing machines are loud.
Yes.
In addition to the events you're doing, I am obviously doing the Starting Point Mystery Knit Along. It started last Friday on the 12th and will run for 4 weeks.
I'm excited to see what that looks like when it's done.
I'm excited to start knitting it after I go and buy yarn. Tomorrow, if I'm not super tired. This whole healing thing is very slow process, and I have
It's
to
like
remember
you have to
that.
sit still and rest.
I have to sit still and rest, and I have to remember I can't do stuff 6 days straight.
Mm-hmm. You'll get there.
My body kicks my butt.
You'll get there.
It'll happen.
Be going a million miles an hour by the end of the summer, and I'll be like,
What?
whew, I'm really glad I have a desk job.
Yep.
Can't keep up with Jocelyn anymore.
About the end of summer, I will be back to the speed I was before, so I'm not sure anybody's prepared for me to be moving that fast anymore.
You've been down a while, so.
I have been, so it'll be nice to be healthy again. What other events are we going to?
We have Worldwide Knit in Public Day coming up on June 10th, which coincides with the Fibre Festival in Carberry and the Vintage Market in the Exchange District, and I think something else.
Yes, it coincides with a lot of different things we could take our knitting to, potentially. I've been adding things to Diana's, like, hey, we can go here, hey, we can go here. This is also happening on June the 10th.
If we do the Carberry thing, that's what we're doing, because that's a road trip.
That's a road trip. So I don't know if we'll do that or not, because I know it would limit, Red wouldn't be able to join us, and we might not be back in time for her to join us with some knitting before she goes to work. So I don't know if that's going to be a super huge option, but it's something we got to talk about and sort of figure out at Knit Club.
I think I'm a fan of staying inside city limits, because then we can potentially do more different things.
Absolutely, or at the very least we could make it a day of knitting and just sort of take our knitting around and do different things, which I really like the idea of. Not that I don't want to go to the Carberry Fibre Festival, because Cloud9 Fiberworks is going to be there, among other people, but Cloud9 Fiberworks is going to be there. Though I really don't need to. I'll be seeing them at the Manitoba Fibre Festival in September, so.
Yes. We're going to some cons over the summer, which are not knitting related, but will be yarn on the going.
Aren't you excited?
I'm so excited.
We've got Icon!
Icon is coming up July 21st to 26th. This will be my first anime convention. I'm pretty excited for that.
I'm super excited for you to
26th.
go.
It's not the 20th. No, it's not till the 26th. It's till the 23rd.
Yeah.
Why did I write down 6?
Because you're obsessed with the number 6?
Apparently. July 21st to 23rd is Icon. Because on the 23rd, I am getting on an airplane to go to Vegas for B-Sides and DEF CON, which are computer security and networking conferences, which I was getting super pumped up for last night because my friend, I will use her Twitter handle Strafe, is staying with me for a few days. And it's because of her that I'm going to this nonsense this year, and she's super excited about it, and so I'm getting super excited about it, and she's telling me all about all these crazy parties and all these amazing people that I'm going to meet, and I'm just like, can we go tomorrow?
But I am looking forward to Icon. I need to give you a short list of things that you need to sit down and watch and knit with me.
Yes.
Because we need to do that, so I hope Chris is ready for me to come live at your apartment for you to be here for a lot of dinners, because we have some serious anime watching we got to get done here before Icon starts.
Excellent.
Which, he's probably not going to want to watch most of.
Probably not. He doesn't seem to be big on the anime.
Which is fine. Mr. B is also not massive in the anime. He likes some of it, but he's kind of particular about it, and I enjoy a wide swath of it, so I'm very excited about it. I am going to rewatch Sailor Moon. That is my goal for this year, is to rewatch that, but I suspect I can knit and rewatch Sailor Moon at the same time. It won't hold my fascination quite as much as it did when I was 10.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I know we've also got the Manitoba Fibre Festival in September.
Yep, that is September 15th and 16th.
We're going to go spend some money!
Yep.
Yep. Because,
monies will be spent.
I lack in the ability to do that.
So this is happening at the Red River Exhibition Grounds.
It's best to say grounds, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the barn thing on the Red River Exhibition Grounds. Free parking!
I'm super excited to look at the roving, but I'm looking forward to buying some yarn and meeting some indie dyers and taking a look around and sort of immersing myself in the culture. Don't know if I will take any spinning stuff, but I will take my knitting stuff, because I expect to be there the whole day. So there will be fooding and sitting and knitting and shopping and visiting, and then a really big nap when I get home.
Uh-huh.
Just totally fair.
Which brings us chronologically to Central Canada Comic Con in October.
C4.
Which is only peripherally related to crafting in that we will be sewing costumes.
Yes.
I'm going to learn how to sew, and I'm going to make that Rapunzel costume.
We got a plan this year, do we?
I've had the fabric since last year.
Well, that was the plan last year.
Yeah. So you have to stay healthy and teach me how to sew.
I'm sorry I got sick for so long. Apologies.
This is why you have to be healthy. You know, not just to be healthy, but you have to be able to teach me to sew. I think that's all our events.
It is. I'm looking forward to the C4 and the sewing and the costumes and the knitting. Not in so much as because it's strictly, I would say strictly, it's a nerd convention. It's a generalized nerd convention, but
yeah.
I know we're going to run across a lot of women who knit, so I'm not even remotely worried that it'll be sort of out of place or weird.
Oh, apparently at DEF CON I'm going to meet one of Straith's friends who is also a knitter.
Oh, well, take some knitting because you will have many projects that you will be behind on by that point.
Always. Always behind.
Again, always add the caveat, at some point, I have no doubt that Wolseley will be doing something or something else will pop up and I'll be like, oh my god, we could go do this. So
yes.
there will be additional ads on for that.
Yarn tea parties.
Yeah, yarn tea parties.
So this week for our review, we are reviewing the Interweave Knits Summer 2017 magazine because it's Shakespeare themed.
And we both buy knitting magazines.
I have a subscription for Interweave Knits, so it just shows up at my door.
I buy them as I run across ones I like, so we can definitely talk at the pros and cons of subscriptions versus not subscriptions.
I didn't write down the monies.
Normally they're $9.99 Canadian.
Yes, they retail for $7.99 in the US and $9.99 in Canada. It works out to be somewhat less than that if you have a subscription.
Alright. Do we want to do an overall or jump straight into patterns and then do an overall?
Oh, let's jump into patterns.
Jump into the patterns straight away?
Mentioning that to fit in with the theme for this issue, every single pattern has its own little sonnet.
Which is so cute!
It's adorable!
I really liked that.
And there's two kind of pattern collections, or stories, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And each of them has an introduction written in iambic pentameter.
Which says a lot of the skill set for the people who write for these magazines.
Yeah.
Because writing in pentameter is not the easiest thing people try.
I also like their use of the word puckish.
Yes.
It's a good word that should make a comeback.
Good luck with that. I keep trying to make 50s slang come back, and it's never working for me, but
No.
sure, we can be unique and just have different slang. Whatever.
Sure.
I'm game.
So I like all of the shawls.
I also like all of the shawls. These are amazing. They're all
Gorgeous,
fingering weight or
lacy.
lighter.
A couple of them are making me think like, oh, maybe I want to do that for my wedding. No, I've already started.
You've already started, man. You're committed now.
I am committed, but I like all of the shawls.
I keep looking at them and I keep going, a lot of the pattern repeats for a lot of these guys are not super complicated.
That's the thing about lace.
For the shawls and the lace. So they would look great in a speckled yarn or a wonderful lightly variegated yarn, which I have a tendency to be drawn towards anyway.
Like a kettle dye kind of tonal thing.
Yeah, and which is, again, we're going to be buying stuff from indie dyers. So I'm like thinking, projects for next summer for wearing maybe? Possibly. Possibly. It's got some potential.
And there's a cape.
There's a cape.
There's a whole hooded cape.
It's a whole hooded cape.
It's the cover project.
It is.
I need it. I need it in my life. I don't want to knit it, but I need it in my life.
You're gonna have to make it.
I know. I don't want to knit it. I just want to have it.
I too also just want to own it. Depending on the yarn I pick, it would not take me very long to knit it up. I would probably spend more time finding the fastenings at the top for it that I liked than actually knitting itself, because it's not a complicated pattern.
Nope.
It's done in a worsted weight? Yeah, it's done in a worsted weight yarn.
It's intended to be a outerwear.
Yeah, it's a worsted weight bulky yarn, so.
I want to make it out of Lopi. That really toothy yarn in the corner at Wolseley Wool. Next to all their super soft chubery and stuff.
Yeah, it would be good in Lopi.
Super want to make it in some Lopi.
I can't blame you. That'll look really good.
Oh.
Super good.
Want.
There's a couple of cardigans and t-shirt options, and if you like Shakespeare, You're good. I mean, they have this dress that's ridiculous in my mind.
This weird wrap thing, I don't get it. I do not understand the wrap.
It's gauzy and summery, so I mean, at least we're in the summer motif, but
It's like a rectangle with like weird armholes. I don't understand the construction of this thing.
I think I understand where the inspiration is coming from, but I don't think that it's executed very well, unless you're really super comfortable showing a lot of skin in your own body.
Yeah.
And I do mean a lot of skin and comfortable with your own body. It's only going to really be figure flattering for a small proportion of people. Whereas the shawls and the tops and the cardigans, like they're all obviously like a shawl's work for everybody.
Yeah.
But even the top lace patterns and the tank top tunic that they had, like those would look great for a good majority of body types.
Yeah, okay.
So which is really kind of nice.
The puckish tunic?
The puckish tunic is I literally hearted all of the shawls because those are the ones I want to do and I want to cast on right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I liked
for me
the
too.
look outside of the dress, which my brain went, what? Why? Why? Why did you do this to me, magazine?
I also really like the Cesario's cardigan. It's just like a simple kind of 1940s, 50s looking thing with a slightly fuzzy yarn.
Yeah.
But
That
just like
wasn't too
really
bad.
light and delicate, and I really like it.
No, I think that would look really good on you.
And I took a look at what sizes it goes up to. It goes up to a 53.5-inch bust and is meant to be worn with some negative ease.
That's me. Well, not exactly my number, but pretty darn close. I'm a little bit smaller than 53, so
So good range of sizes.
that is a good range of sizes. I didn't check for the cardigan one because I was really eyeballing the charts and the lace charts for the shawls. And going, I gotta go buy me a copy of this one. There's so much that's so good.
The shawls, the fancy shawls. They're so pretty.
Oh, they're so nice.
And there's an article in there about kind of the history of lace.
Yeah, which I thought was really interesting. One of the things I like about magazines is they give you little snippet articles, and they had another one that's like The Perfect Edge.
Yeah, that's part 3 to the tubular cast-on segment they've been doing.
So it's really wonderful that they've got the continuations going on, and you get those nice articles. The History of Lace one was really quite nice.
I forgot to write down that one. That coat thing is
Yes.
called Viola's Coat. Yes, is also fantastic.
I think it would be great, in my case, done in... I would probably do it in a tweed.
Tweed would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking maybe a dark charcoal gray.
Ooh, that'd be good. It's a nice, simple, belted, long cardigan.
Like,
Yeah, well, again, what do we like? We like cardigans, shawls, lacy knits, vintage wear,
long flappy bits.
long flappy bits. We might be into the same sorts of things.
Yeah.
Who knew? Shall we talk about magazines overall?
Magazines overall.
This magazine
super
overall was
like-
really put together.
Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite issue ever of Interweave Knits, except for maybe that one that had the purple sweater on the front with all the cables that I immediately loved and needed.
Oh, yeah, that one. That was a good one.
But that might be tied with this one, because this whole issue is just fantastic. And the theme, oh my goodness, I can't believe how well they did with the theme.
They nailed the theme to the pieces that they had into it very well. I liked the photos and the layout that they had done. You could clearly see the knit in all of the photos, which is great because
They
sometimes...
were knitwear photos, not style or lifestyle photos.
I don't have a problem with lifestyle photos if you have good knitwear photos going along with it.
Yes.
When you have just this lifestyle ones, it doesn't give me enough information. And if we're honest, some of the knitwear ones are almost lifestyle anyway.
Yes.
So I don't mind, but it definitely, I'm super happy with the photos. I love the patterns, the theme they stuck to, and they just nailed the theme. They just did so good. Between the intros and the writing, the patterns all come in decent sizes. You have some men's stuff, you have some ladies' stuff, and I think there's only the one pattern that my brain went, nope, that was the dress. Yeah. Everything else, I was like, no, I could see, who would wear something like this, who would wear something like that, or, oh my god, I need to cast this on right now.
I
So
want to
it's
make
got a
all
lot
of the
of...
things for me.
Yeah, go for it. I'm not going to tell you no. I'm always a fan of people making stuff for themselves. I make a lot of stuff for myself. I find magazines a great source of sort of learning about things. Things that I might not be aware of in my social sphere, because if we're honest, our Google filters what we see, our email filters what we see, and we sort of have a very skewed sense of what's going on. I find I almost always find a new indie dyer or a new type of yarn or a new program or getaway or something that's going on in the knitting community out of the magazines that I had no idea was an option. I knew you could go on knitting tours. I didn't know there was knitting cruises.
True.
Yeah. Like, what's in the yarn box subscription? I'm so tempted. Because I want to know. It just looks so happy and cheerful. I'm like, maybe?
Maybe.
Or you see the ads for the upcoming releases of lines for, like, even the Cascade yarns. And Cascade has got some great yarn, and I like seeing the new stuff they're coming out with, or the sort of classic lines that they carry. But for me, I find magazines are books light.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, the price point for me is again about the same. If there's even just 2 patterns in a magazine that I like, I will get the magazine because it's still worth it at the price point that I'm paying for patterns individually on the average. The starting point shawl is $6 American, so I paid $10, $11 Canadian for this, for one pattern. So for the cost of the magazine, less than the cost of the more than the cost of the magazine, I got a singular pattern. It's just not out of the ordinary. So overall, this specific issue was amazing. As far as magazines go, it encourages me to get a subscription for Interweave Knits. I think I really got to do that this year.
It's pretty great. It's like $40 for 2 years or something. Something like that.
That's not bad at all.
Don't quote me on that. I could be hardly wrong.
Well, I like buying enough of them that it shouldn't be a problem. Finding 1 or 2 that I really like and doing it that way. But I have a tendency to buy them individually, so I'll see a cover I like, and I find a lot of the summer issues don't appeal to me.
That was actually something in the editor's note at the beginning that they mentioned, that the summer issues tend not to sell as well.
I've seen a lot of the ones for, like, the crocheting and the knitting up to the interweaves that have come out where it's a lot of crop tops, a lot of tank tops, a lot of things that I wouldn't personally knit and or wear.
Yeah.
So I would be upset if I had a subscription and that's what I got, at least one of them a year. But if the interweave ones summers, or like the Shakespeare one where it's a theme or it's something where they've got a bit more practicality to it, then I'm all game for it. I mean, if you like a linen knitted top, wear a knitted linen top. I'd rather wear my stretchy cotton rayon tank tops and go. I would rather spend that time making myself cardigans or shawls, even knitting stuff for my niece, or that cape, which I think really has to happen. And if I'm honest, the cape's not a very practical piece of clothing.
But cape.
But it looks so cool. So for me, I was super excited when the summer one came in, and this is how good it was. So a super yes. If you don't own it, go pick it up.
I am also super yes on this.
Which worked really well. Ta-da!
All right. Really long magazine review.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, Diana, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find our Ravelry group at Northern Knits Podcast. We are also on Facebook and Pinterest and
Instagram
as Northern Knits Podcast. We have our show notes on our blog at northernknitspodcast.com, and you can email us from the contact page on there or northernknitspodcast@gmail.com.
Individually, we can be found under our very common handles. If you can find me on Ravelry and you can find the group on Ravelry, you can find me everywhere else. I am Amber Dragon, Dragon spelled Dragun, and when I say I'm everywhere on the internet, I mean everywhere on the internet. Start with Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and we'll go from there. Ravelry, obviously.
I am Wool-Rat on Ravelry, and Firewater and Fiber, fiber spelled Fiber, on Instagram. I also stream on Twitch sometimes at twitch.tv/firewaterandfiber, spelled the same way.
It's true, you do. Well, that's it, that's all, hey?
That is it.
Alright, so, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
Saying no matter where your week takes you,
Don't forget to knit.
And we're done. You can go back to playing with the cat now.
Woo! Kitty!